is like 11 degrees outside, still snowing. I'll be absent, by the way, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. My friends are flying up from South Florida. They bought a farm here, and they got two giant moving trailers coming up. Every piece of cold weather gear that I have to wear, I'll be wearing. Be unloading two giant trailers. You know who your real friends are when you unload trailers in brutal cold. So I'll be unloading a trailer with them at their farm, so I'll be incommunicado vis-a-vis the internet. I wished I could tell you how many Canadians and Australians have actually contacted me in these past couple of weeks. I feel like I've been contacted by more Canadians in the past few weeks than I have in the past few years. Maybe not, but it's been an awful lot. One thing that's not making the news anywhere, and it's quite astounding, and you may or may not know about it, is the protests in Deutschland. I'm part German, by the way. Literally tens of thousands of people and countless thousands, if not over 10,000 tractors. From the videos that I've actually seen, it's got to be easily over 10,000 farm tractors converging on Berlin, but not just Berlin. There's diesel subsidies that to make it completely impossible that, and all of this is going exactly according to plan. I've told you that Hydra is trying to starve everybody. They want everybody reliant on the state for absolutely everything. And everybody keeps talking about a reset, but it seems like nobody ever thought to mention to you that the only way you can do a reset is to crash everything, which basically means bring everybody to their knees. Reminds me of that Superman movie when he's talking about rebuilding Krypton on the surface of the Earth. And Superman goes, yeah, I'm making a movie reference. Superman goes, well, what about everybody, will be uninhabitable by Earthlings? And the evil guy said, well, a foundation has to be built on something. In other words, he doesn't care who gets laid waste as long as his vision of the future, the evil vision of the future. This is, even though that's a movie line, that's exactly what they're trying to do. You can't reset something until you crash everything, which is no different than saying bring everybody to their knees. I've watched a lot of my German's pretty rusty. I've had 3 years of German. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Nein, aber ich spreche Russisch. Sehr gut. Ja. Listen to a lot of German farmers talk about what's going on. I was like, listen, we're hanging on by a thread right now. You know, we're making your food for you. You know, these people are working themselves to the bone. And of course, like, top 3 worst jobs in the world where you basically are, doing yourself in physically and mentally is farming, and you got nothing to show for it. I mean, I'm sorry, my friends bought a farm and they're going to use it for survival. And, feeding yourself is one thing, but the idea of farming is the most, if you want to, there's several different sayings like this. Like, if you want to make $1 million farming, then sink $10 million into it, then you would come out with $1 million. That's basically what farming is. It's kind of an exaggeration on another line there. Anyway, the video is coming out, and nobody from the lamestream news is reporting on this, not even a bit. I'm not seeing one peep out of it. And of course, they're all corrupt and evil. I know that, you know that. It's absolutely off the hook, but all this is going exactly according to plan. The reset requires collapse, and collapse means bringing everybody to their knees. And I like to talk about Canada, and what they're doing is basically what Europe's doing and what Deutschland is doing also. By the way, you can look this up. Germany is preparing for Putin's forces to attack NATO in 2025. These are according to plans that made their way out into the public. Documentation from the German Ministry of Defense reveals step-by-step guide on how Russia will escalate the conflict in Ukraine to an all-out conflict within under 18 months. So I heard a lot of people saying, unintelligently, and I have lived in Russia for years, okay? I actually know a little bit about Russia and the Soviet Union, Бывшего Советского Союза. People say, how on earth can Russia take on NATO if they can't even take on Ukraine? Well, number one, we've been supplying an enormous amount of military hardware to Ukraine. An enormous amount, not just the United States, but NATO as well. But that's as stupid as saying, how is the United States, going to do anything because, they got defeated. A lot of Europeans think it was defeated. What Russia is doing in Ukraine, I'm making an analogy here, is exactly what happened to the United States in Vietnam and other places, including Afghanistan, by the way. If the United States were I don't care what you think about the United States. Love it, hate it, I don't care. I'm just interested in the facts. Same thing in Vietnam, same thing in Afghanistan. If we actually wanted to own it, literally, either destroy it and own it or just destroy it, the United States has the military wherewithal to have that happen. No ifs, ands, or buts. Nobody with two brain cells can deny that. So this idea that people are making a false equivalency, it's like, well, Russia's, hemorrhaging right now, and they are. And by the way, I get along great with Russians and Ukrainians. I'm not interested in government, and I don't confuse government with people. But it's just incredibly unintelligent to say that. It's like, well, since Russia is, undergoing a lot of hardships in Ukraine, that therefore they can't come after NATO, and this is completely ridiculous. That's as dumb as saying that about the United States relative to Afghanistan or Vietnam, where an enormous amount of military tech was held back, including ones that are based in plutonium and uranium. I mean, if we really, really wanted it, they could have it, and it's no different than Russia on that front. Even though their economy is infinitely smaller, Russia is a gigantic munitions and fuel depot. I mean, they have an enormous amount, and that is not up for questioning. So people are saying that have no idea what they're talking about. I've seen a lot of, I'm part Irish too, people in a couple different locations, because a lot of things have happened in Ireland, yeah? Recently, you could go look that up. I don't want to talk about it and discuss things that have happened in Ireland, but it's made the Irish people not so happy. Let's put it that way. And some Irish locals have published Irish Lives Matter, spray painted on a few different locations. And the BBC, who, having lived in Russia and listening to BBC as American broadcast into Russia, quite familiar with BBC, much more so than most Americans, will tell you that the propaganda wing and lies and propaganda out of the BBC is way worse than anything I ever heard while living in Soviet Russia. BBC is actually going after Irish people by attacking Irish people by saying that, it's this really horrific form of, bigotry from the Irish people, that they want to, want the welfare and health of their own people. And it's just completely astounding. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore, but I mean, the fact that the BBC and also, too, some major human-looking creature, I'm not going to mention his name, in Ireland, is picking on his own Irish citizens for, wanting for the welfare of the Irish people. I just want to know what you think about that. I'm part Irish. It's kind of frightening to hear stuff like that, but nothing surprises me. It's not frightening at all. Anyway, Germany is, this is true. This is not like hearsay or rumor that they're saying prepare for Putin to come after NATO. Apparently they have some inside info on that. What that is, we don't know, but we know that this information out of Deutschland is real. Also, too, calls from Sweden's government and military urges Swedish people to be ready, including all my Sverige peeps in Göteborg, Sverige. Yeah, you heard me. Yeah, I speak a little bit of Swedish. Yeah. To be ready for war, having it's triggered panic buying in Sweden, frightened children, sparked fierce debate in the Sweden. So there could be a war in Sweden very soon. Minister of Civil Defense Carl Oskar Boblin of Sverige, i.e. Sweden, told an annual defense conference on January the 7th, just a few days ago, and warning the Swedish against their complacency, because Sweden is trying to join NATO. But apparently the Swedish peeps are, for the first time in countless decades, the Swedes have been uproared into panic buying and, scaring the Swedish peeps, basically. I don't know what you think about that one. I was actually reading quite extensively on that, and it's kind of amazing what's going on. You could go Google that on Sweden. This is something that's absolutely horrible in Canada. Just when you think you've heard everything absolutely horrible coming out of Canada, a bunch of Canadians have told me about it recently. Canada is trying to roll out and is testing the waters for UBI, Universal Basic Income, which, by the way, is 100% absolute, undeniable slavery. There's a lot of propaganda that's actually coming out of the state that's trying to sandbox this, to test the waters for this, $2,000 a month for doing nothing. So it's spilling out of Canada from the government. It's like, hey, this might be the answer to poverty in Canada. It's just the opposite, actually. It's 100% absolute Marxism. If this happens, nearly immediately $2,000 won't be worth $2,000 Canadian. It'll be worth something like $1,100 or $1,200. I mean, you'll destroy the economy. And once again, this plays perfectly. You take the stupid people, and who's the guy that gave the quote called "useful idiots"? Remember that quote? You'll take the unintelligent people that are super broke and struggling, which is basically every Canadian right now in Canada. Oh, universal basic income, guaranteed $2,000 a month, whether you do anything or not. If you supplement it, they'll actually retract from that money, supposedly. I cannot think of a quicker way to bring everybody to their knees. I really, really cannot. Superficially, the unintelligent people that won't think about this with more than 2 brain cells will think that's a great idea. Well, I'm not getting anything right now. Now $2,000 a month to pay for my food. Yeah, but when you get $2,000 a month, it won't be worth anything. It will wreck the economy at warp speed. $2,000 won't be worth $2,000. It will wreck everything, which is exactly what these people want. The same thing they're doing in Germany and basically everywhere else. You can't reset something until you collapse it. And by collapsing it, it means bringing people to their knees. I tell you flat out right now, no ifs, ands, or buts. This is 100% what is going on. You don't believe me? I don't care. I'm not interested in any tinfoil hat churning up, or I can't stand fear-mongering. All these people worrying about solar storms and pole reversal and, oh, danger, Will Robinson, and I can't stand that stuff. I'm not interested in that at all. If you think I'm doing that right now, you don't know me at all. Not even a bit do you know me. So Canada is floating the balloon on UBI, and it'll be the quickest demise of Canada. There's nothing going to work quicker on bringing everybody to a quick reset than this. By the way, all of you people, regardless of the country, complaining about, and every Canadian says the same thing. I've heard this 1,000,000 times. We need to get that guy out of there. Justina, what's his name again? Wink, wink. Justina Castro, what's his name again? We need to get that guy out of there. I never voted for that guy. We need him out of there. All you people complaining about him, and I know she's not in office anymore, Jacinda, isn't that what her name is? New Zealand, the Kiwi. What's her name again? Jacinda or Jacinda? I know she's not in office anymore, but she's actually replaced by somebody even way worse than her. All you people complaining about him and her and all these other people, you're making the biggest mistake. All of these people are finger puppets of a WEF and of Hydra. I've kind of humorously called it Hydra. They're all finger puppets operating off the same agenda. They're even parroting each other's words. You're like, we need to get that guy out of there. What are you going to do? We're going to place one finger puppet with another finger puppet? I mean, do you really think that's going to change anything? I mean, do you? I roll my eyes with all the people complaining about the different manifestations of the same finger puppet, which is, you know, countless fingers of the same arm of Hydra. 60% of Canadians are set to renew their mortgages, an average of $1,700 a month increase. What's going to happen is Canadians are going to reach, and they already are, I hear tons of Canadians are talking about this, forced to either sell or default on their mortgages. Interest rates are going to jump from an average of 1.8 to 2.7 and raise to 6% plus. What they want is massive defaults. The larger LLCs are going to come in and gobble up all the table scraps for all the people that have defaulted. They're going to rent them back probably to the same people. Well, you could stay there. You don't need to move. You know, I knew you defaulted on your mortgage, but, you know, you could just rent it until you drop. You know, just perpetual rent. Kind of like Adobe. I think Adobe started this garbage, and I cannot stand software you can't buy. I hate it, hate it, hate it. It's despicable. It's evil. They want the same thing that Adobe did to software. You can't buy it anymore. You can only rent it. You pay us $12 a month forever and ever and ever and ever. You get free upgrades. You can never own it. I can't stand that. They want to do the same thing that these software people have done. You're not going to own software anymore. You're going to rent it. I canceled my Adobe subscription. I absolutely desperately need Adobe Acrobat, for example. I use it for everything. Canceled it. I can't put up with that monthly. It's no different than what they're trying to do with housing. It's exactly what they're trying to do with housing. You're going to rent it back to you. You're going to own nothing and be happy. And you're going to have a side plate along with your house rental of protein, bugs that are going to be 3D printed into your low-carb, meat-like substance. Kind of like that paste. Remember that spacefaring movie where everybody is like a prisoner on this space station and you just hit a button and it just spits out this gray paste? Everybody eats the same gray paste. I think that was in Matrix, wasn't it? Everybody eats this gray paste that's like made out of bugs and recycled cat muffins. Cat poop. There's record numbers of Canadians who are fleeing Canada. They're fleeing to Southeast Asia, big time to Costa Rica and South America. One person, she was always heralded. I don't know what you think about this. I'm not going to pass any judgment on her, even though I'd like to, and I already have, but I'm just not going to mention. Her name's Jane Goodall. And everybody keeps playing this video all over the place now. She's totally on board with the WEFers and Hydra. And she desperately wants to reduce the number of people. I don't know why none of these people actually don't start. They say charity starts at home. I think this should start. And we would desperately want to reduce the number of people on this earth. She doesn't tell you exactly how it's going to happen. This is someone that people have been, you know, Sigourney Weaver made her a movie about her called Gorillas in the Mist back in the 80s. Like, oh, this is the best humanitarian in the world. She went out to the, you know, the outreaches of Africa, and she like pair bonded with, you know, silverback gorillas, and oh, she's so enlightened. Look at her, you know, bonding with these gorillas, and she told you flat out she wants to basically told you she wants to exterminate many of the people. She basically says just too many of you useless eaters running around on planet Earth. So just tell me what you think about old Miss Goodall there. Do you agree with her? I'm not passing any judgment. I'll do that off of this video, but I'm not going to mention it here. U.S. is opening up a new western new front, as also to the west with Iran vis-a-vis Yemen. The Red Sea portal there has blocked 25% of global shipping lanes. I've heard a lot of Brits in the UK saying why the UK was involved. Well, let me tell you why. You know, you're British and you don't know this. The UK has been involved in literally every shipping lane disruption since the dawn of England's existence. People say, why is the UK involved in going after Yemen? Which, of course, they have, and they are, and they still are. So is the U.S. I don't know what percentage is split between the two. And it's also to Australia and Denmark. I think some other people got in on that. Also to U.S. fighter jets shot down cruise missiles that were targeting a U.S. destroyer in the Red Sea. But anytime, the worst thing that you could do that will elicit a spontaneous response from the U.S. and U.K. has always been shipping lane disruption. The UK has been practicing this since the dawn of its very existence. Oh, I said, fellow, you're going to disrupt the shipping channel for commerce. Yes, well, we're not going to have that. You know, we're going to dispatch, you know, a lot of cannon-laden fleets, and we're going to take care of that. I'm surprised why UK people don't know that. You disrupt shipping lane channels, that's exactly what the UK is going to do. And I said something over 20% of shipping lanes go through the Red Sea there. A lot of people are talking about this. I've been talking about it for years now. It seemed to have amped up, and you can confirm this. I see more people in zombie mode People are saying people are acting like they were just spawned, like in a video game, into their jobs and their lives. An enormous amount of people feel and fear, don't believe in fear, but me as well, an enormous black swan event here in 2024. I know it's going to happen. A lot of people in live stream last night, and I could find some hints at it, that JP Morgan Chase faces account, actually we confirmed this, account closure allegations are just spontaneously, you're just an insignificant peon, we're going to close your account because you're not important enough. But a lot of live stream reporters, and I've seen some evidence for this, I'd like some more hard evidence, so this is a roundabout discussion on this, and tell me if you could find anything concrete on this, that JP Morgan, i.e. Chase, is going to, in some fashion, file for bankruptcy and transference of assets. I mean, that is huge. That would be like the entire government of Canada, almost, not literally. The entire government of Canada defaulting on, its everything that it has and or is known for possessing in its assets. I mean, that's just absolutely huge. If that happens, then things are rolling faster than I expected. This is something important. I'd like to make an intelligent observation because I keep a keen eye on this. Hydra, and I humorously call them Hydra, is composed of WEF and WHO and various other entities that I won't name for various good reasons. You know exactly who they are. It's composed of a bunch of extremely rich but very unintelligent and unwise and intellectually illiterate people. They have insane ideas that are completely incompatible with the real world and reality. They see the real world and natural order as wrong, and since it doesn't match up with their, they're living in a nutshell, sniffing their own flatulence, and they have crazy ideas how they think things should run, rather than how it should run and how natural order runs it. And they see the natural world and reality and how things naturally should run and do run as wrong, and they want to destroy it to match their crazy vision of a future reality. And this is what they're operating off of. If they had wisdom and any genuine intelligence, which they do not have, they would see things as they are, the way they should be happy the fact that they're super wealthy, and they should buy like another yacht and cruise around the world and have people give them back rubs and feed them expensive food. I mean, that's the only true goal of being rich, because you can't take power with you, and anytime you want power over anybody else, you shouldn't have it. But they see themselves as better than everybody else, and they want to reshape the world. And all these people kind of think alike. They have the same crazy ideas. And they want to make their insane reality in their head match with what they see with their eyes, and that's why they're out to destroy the world. They're really quite mad. They're like James Bond kind of mad, obviously so. Every Western entity, meaning people in the Western world, is saying the same thing. The government is becoming more and more and more hostile to its citizens. The Germans, tens of thousands of tractors. You know what it takes for these farmers to go from the outliers of Deutschland to converge on Berlin? You know how much diesel they have to burn on those slow freaking tractors? I mean, they have to work their butt off every day, but it's so bad, it's like, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to spend several thousand euros in gas just making my way to Berlin, and wasting time I don't have to waste to protest the great evil that's going on. None of that's making the news at all. This is all exactly according to plan. Everything is working exactly according to plan, exactly as I said it years ago, and it's exactly how it's going. Anybody that denies this, they should acknowledge the fact that, the evil guy that looks like Emperor Palpatine, you know who I'm talking about, he wrote a book about it. There are many people who have written books about it. They tell you exactly what they're going to do. Every evil person always tells you what they're going to do. And nobody with a brain, nobody, generally speaking, listens. Well, it's just crazy talk. It's like, no, they got the money, and they seek the power to enact this to happen. So, by the way, the Boeing door plug that ripped the door off at 18,000 feet, depressurized the cabin. If a baby was near it, it would have sucked a baby out. Insiders actually say at Boeing, just like the whole world right now, you can't get anybody to do their job. Nobody wants to work. that things aren't being built right at Boeing, and those that actually see this, the sub-supervisors, the next level underneath the peons that build stuff, they see this, but they're not reporting the issues to angry management because their bosses are angry and don't want to hear it. So the idea of just do your job is really out the window, and it's becoming a safety issue. And you know this is going on everywhere. Did you think it wasn't going on in life-saving equipment, like airline equipment? They're just not reporting. It's like, you know, why report it? You know, it might put my job in jeopardy, you know, until it becomes a problem. I'm not going to say anything. If I tell my boss what's really happening, they're going to yell at me, and then I'm going to force to yell at the people underneath me, and it's going to put my job in jeopardy. There needs to be a plaque over every place of business, and it just should say, just do your job. Nobody wants to do their job anymore. I wanted to actually post a what if on the end of this, but I think I'll mention it in another video. I know this is actually going on, like AI, free energy automation, and fuel propulsion equipment. If you're actually in the know. And by the way, did I need to point out again that the richest people on Earth all of a sudden are building mega bunkers? Like old Zuckerbucks has got a $100 million mega bunker, underground complex with everything you could ever want in perpetuity. They think they're going to hide from the rest of the world while they try to destroy the world. They don't have wisdom. They have intelligence, but they don't have wisdom. But they know enough that they know they need to build a $100 million, you know, built by, you know, the best builders, this and then that. They're not going. There's some place in the Bible even, not that I want to quote the Bible, it says, you know, you're going to hide from it. You know, you're not going to hide from it. You're not going to wreak havoc on the world and squirrel yourself away in your 1,000-foot underground wine cellar and living quarters and have people feed you steak and wine and champagne while the rest of the peons are up above on the surface world, you know, suffering the consequences of your insane vision, of your crazy idea, of a pseudo-reality that only exists in your mind. You should accept things the way they are. You should always try to make the world a better place, but you're not supposed to try to destroy it and destroy natural order and impose your will on other people's will. And, you know, this is what happens to these people. Unfortunately, a lot of people are to blame. A lot of people are to blame, not just the evil entities themselves. So tell me what you think, and that's what's going on in the world. Once again, I'll be gone until Friday. I'll be helping my friends unload the truck. Lux Veritas, I read every comment. Tell me what you think, and have a lovely week.